sir is joined and
BBC?
BBC has a join already.
yes, sir.
BBC
Okay,
joined
okay, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
10 minutes back.
Welcome,
We
sir.
have not voted.
Welcome, sir.
BC is yet to join, na?
Yeah, VC sir is joined.
BC not. BC joined?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Our any resource persons, they have joined or not? These 4 persons? Or
Resource
Find out.
person, I already talked to him, sir. So after 2-3 minutes, we will start, sir.
almost 3 were reaching. We'll
Yes.
start on time. Sarajant. Sir, namaskar, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
आफ्टरनून नमस्कार और पीवीसी साहब नमस्ते रजिस्ट्रार साहब प्रोफेसर परिदा डॉक्टर शंभू या एंड आई कैन सी फिरोज यस वेरी फ्रेश डॉक्टर रिकम इज देयर नाउ शुड वी वेट और आई थिंक रिसोर्स पर्सन दे हैव टू जॉइन ना
Yes, sir. They have 1 minute, sir.
लेट अस गिव देम लिटिल टाइम
Yes, sir. Within
Yeah.
1 or 2 minutes, we will start, sir.
ओके सो कंटिन्यू योर मीटिंग है ना हम ज्वाइन कर लिए हैं आप समझ गए होंगे ना
Sir.
जी सर. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
अभी अभी 3 मीटिंग चल रही है एक नेरिस्ट की चल रही है अभी हमारे पीएचडी स्टूडेंट की सो मैं अपने टाइम से ज्वाइन कर लिया हूं एंड देन कंटिन्यू राइट
Yes, sir.
हमारा टाइम कब है
Sir, 3-5. Na?
3:15.
3-6.
3:15, 3:10 ऐसे 3:15.
तो हम हैं ठीक है ऑलराइट ठीक है
सर रिसोर्स पर्सन से एक बार बात कर लेते हैं.
Very good afternoon, sir. Our resource person, Dr. Ashok Pandey, is with us. He has already joined.
Yes.
So, without wasting time, we will start our session. So, I welcome you all for this 2-day online workshop on research and publication ethics, which is being organized by IQAC Rajiv Gandhi University in collaboration with Faculty of Physical Education and Sports Science, Rajiv Gandhi University. We have with us Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Saket Kushwaha. We have Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor A. Mitra. We have Registrar, Rajiv Gandhi University, Dr. N.T. Rikam sir, Director IQAC, R.C. Parida sir, and all the participants. And we have our joint program coordinator, Dr. Firoz. He is with us, and we have organized this program to have a look about the publication ethics and how these ethics to be implicated during publications. And with this, I call for formal welcome our Director IQAC, Professor R.C. Parida sir, for welcome address, please.
Thank you, Dr. Sambhu. Good afternoon, each one of you. It's my privilege to extend warm welcome to each one of you to this 2 days webinar on the research and publication ethics. So first we welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Saket Kushwaha sir, who is the patron and also the man behind all these activities. Since last couple of years, we have organized more than 100 webinars in various aspects. Also, we have decided that we should go ahead with this type of webinar, though we cannot work on organize in formal way in a physical mode, but let us continue keep it up with the system. So the Professor Kushwaha is always encouraging to each one of this university of various aspects, including academic, administration, etc. So I welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor to this 2 days research and publication ethics webinar. We also welcome to our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Amitabh Mitra sir, who is also very much encouraging and enthusiastic and a place type of, you can say, Margadarshak, I can say, very much cordial and also guide in time and again how to go out with webinars, and it should be always in the faculty interest. So with his kind guidance, we are organizing this webinar. So I join with our team welcoming to our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor sir. We also welcome our Honorable esteemed Registrar, Dr. N.T. Rikam, the young and dynamic Registrar of this university. And we also welcome the convener, Dr. Tadang Minu, Head Department of Physical Education. Formal welcome to Dr. Sambhu Prasad, who is also coordinator and another coordinator and the member of IQAC, Dr. Firoz, for this 2 days webinar. I welcome all my colleagues in the university and also the persons who have joined in this virtual mode, the research scholars, teachers, and our esteemed resource persons who have joined and who would be the resource person for these 2 days webinars. We extend our cordial welcome to Dr. Ashok Pandey, the distinguished scientist, Center for Innovation and Translational Research, Lucknow. We welcome Dr. Ajit Kumar Misra, from the Department of Humanity Studies, IIT BHU. We also join to welcome our another esteemed resource person, academician, Professor Amit Kaur, Head and Professor, School of Education, Government of India, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar, and he is also from the Amritsar, this Guru Nanak Dev University. And we extend our heartfelt welcome to Dr. Nilesh Kumar, who is from Mechanical Engineering, and that is Garda Institute of Technology, Ratnagiri. So with these 4 research persons, hopefully these 2 days webinar in the afternoon sessions. Our newly faculty members, basically since last couple of months, around 25 new faculty members have joined in our university. Hope they will be benefited. Not only they, also our research scholars, the persons who have registered, including we all will be educated, enlightened by our by the wisdom of the resource persons, these 4 resource persons in the coming 4 sessions of these 2 days webinar. So this webinar is conducted taking into account, keeping in mind about the research and publications ethics and emergency issues in the academic publications, in the academic activities of the faculty members and research scholars. During these sessions, the focus will be on scientific conduct, publication ethics, open access publishing, publication misconduct databases, and research matrices. So the materials, the deliberations given our experts will be communicated by our esteemed coordinators of the program, Dr. Sambu Prasad, and also Dr. Firoz. Topics, and more importantly, the deliberations by our esteemed experts will definitely enlighten all of us regarding this publication and research ethics. So with these remarks, once again, I join with my team and university welcoming each one of you to this 2 days webinar. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, sir, for a wonderful welcome speech. Now moving toward further, like as we know, the importance of quality information has increased manifold with the implementation of new education and policy. The topic of research ethics is important not only when conducting research, but also when publishing it. And it is one of the credibility. So we have identified this area to organize the workshop, and we have all total registration. 660 participants has registered. So many of them are watching this program through YouTube link. We are streamlined in YouTube also. And let me tell you one thing, that we have participants from Malaysia also. Many scholars, they have requested us to give them a chance. So we have already accepted, and they have already registered, and they are attending the program. All total, we have 4 sessions. The sessions will be from 3 to 5:30. So today we have 2 technical sessions, and then tomorrow we'll have 2 technical sessions. So today, first session will be taken by Dr. Ashok Pandey, and second session will be taken by Professor Amit Kotz. So with this, I call upon Professor A. Mitra, Pro Vice Chancellor, Rajiv Gandhi University, to speak few words, sir.
Dr. Sambu, register
I
sir,
think
supposed
Dr.
to speak.
Shambhu, register,
Oh, sorry.
sir,
Yes,
file
yes,
will
sir.
speak.
Register.
Sorry. Now I call Dr. N.T. Rikam sir, Registrar sir, to speak few words, sir.
Okay, very good afternoon to all of you. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Rajiv Gandhi University, Professor Saket Kushwaha, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Amita Mitra, Professor R.C. Parida, Director IQAC, Dr. Sambu Prasad, Program Coordinator, Dr. Firoz, Co-Coordinator of the program, distinguished resource person, Dr. Ashok Pandey, Professor Amit Kotz, Dr. Nilesh Kambar, and Dr. Ajit Kumar Mishra. All the participants, including faculty members, research scholars, ladies and gentlemen, at the very outset, I join the organizers in extending my warm welcome to all of you on this platform, on this national webinar. I suppose it's international if participants are from abroad. It can be called as international webinar. especially the distinguished resource persons for sparing your valuable time. We really welcome you on behalf of Rajiv Gandhi University and all the participants in this two-day webinar. Well, as the topic goes, research and publication ethics, it's a very, very common topic, but very, very vital and important topic as an academician, as one who involved in academic activities, research, as well as the publications. One cannot actually avoid these academic activities being in the system or being in the profession. So, as we know, research is a serious business. It's a very, very serious business. Through research, we can actually invent or we can discover anything and everything on this globe. And when we come down to a specific area, maybe in the university, in the academic institutions, we have different contours, different realms of research activities, and the researchers are of mainly, I suppose, two components. One is to actually acquire certain degrees, maybe PhD, MPhil, or postdoctoral. And other is that those who are inclined or those who are fully involved in research activities. So they have altogether different way of doing research activity. So being a researcher, I think the very vital thing is that we must be fully a professional. It cannot be like a stopgap type of engagement or activities. One has to devote fully on the research activities so as to get the fruit, so as to get the outcome in the form of publications. When things are done or research activities completes, I think it has to be come out with publication, and publication is actually product of your research. So without publication, I don't think any research has any importance. So this is why it has linkages. Research is fully linked with the publications. So publication, as it indicates ethics, publication ethics, it has certain rules, certain guidelines relating to different area of activity, different disciplines. So one has to go by those rules, those regulations and guidelines. So then only we can have a good publication. So I think our resource person will throw light on this very, very varied area, very, very large area. And I'm sure that the participants will be greatly benefited by this webinar through our resource persons. It's 2 days webinar, and I believe everyone will get benefited out of this 2-day webinar, especially those who are undergoing research activities, scholars will get more benefit out of the deliberations that we are going to have today as well as tomorrow. So with this, I must extend my congratulations as well as thankfulness to the IQAC, Internal Quality Assurance Cells of Rajiv Gandhi University, along with the Faculty of Physical Education and Sports Sciences for organizing this very, very relevant two-day webinar on research and publication ethics. And I wish all the best, and surely it will bring some changes in our academic activities. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for throwing lights on various aspects of research and publication ethics and about the workshop. Now I call our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor A. Mitra, sir, to address the gathering, sir.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Audible,
Yes, sir.
Namaste to all of you. Professor Saket Kushwa, Vice Chancellor and the Chief Patron of this webinar. Professor R.C. Parida, Director IQAC. Dr. N.T. Rikam, Esteemed Registrar of the University. Dr. Sobhu Poshat, Program Coordinator and Member of IQAC. Learned Resource Person, Dr. Ashok Pandey, Scientist CSIR. Professor Amit Kaurs, GNDU, Amritsar, who will be speaking today. All the faculty members, research scholars, ladies and gentlemen present. At the very outset, I would like to congratulate IQAC, Rajiv Gandhi University, for organizing a two-day workshop on research and publication ethics in collaboration with Faculty of Physical Education and Sports Science. In fact, this is a very, very important and relevant topic. As we know that research is the original contribution to the existing stock of knowledge. It is a creative work undertaken on a very systematic basis. You know, earlier research was limited to a handful of people. Now research has become a good of mass consumption. There are more than 1,000 universities are there. There are a number of research scholars are there. So what happens sometimes, research becomes the repetition of the ideas. And that is why University Grants Commission has given an instruction that there should be a compulsory paper on research ethics and publication in the coursework, and accordingly, all the universities,
which has totally giving an H index of more than 100, or more precisely, it is 112, 112, and more than 55,000 citations. Professor Pandey is the recipient of many national and international awards and honors, which include Distinguished Fellow, the Biotic Research Society India 2021, highest cited researcher, that means top 1% in the world, as well Clarivate Analytics and Web of Science since 2018. Top ranked scientist, that's number 1 in India and number 8 in the world in biotechnology, as per Stanford University World Ranking 2020, and many more. Research Society India, founder and international executive coordinator of International Bioprocessing Association France, chairman of the International Society for Energy, Environment and Sustainability, editor-in-chief and editorial board member of several international and Indian journals. Dear colleagues, we are very much fortunate to have such an eminent person in research today. as a resource person. Thank you, Professor Pandey, for joining the session. Thank you so much. It's over to you, sir. Thank you. Sir, you are not audible. Kindly.
Sir, you join again. You leave the meeting and join again. Yeah, yes. Voice is coming.
Now it's audible. Now it's.
Hello.
Yes, now it is audible, sir.
Okay. Can you hear now?
Yes, sir. Perfectly audible.
Okay. I'll share my screen now.
Yes.
Can you see my slides, Shambhu? Shambhu?
No, sir, not yet. It is in this. Yes, it is coming, sir.
Can you see it now?
Yes, sir. It is visible now.
Okay. Thank you. At the outset, thanks indeed for organizing a workshop on ethics at what title you have given. But I have put my lecture title as Ethics at Workplace and Ethics in Research, and thereafter only comes the ethics in publication or scientific writing, whatever we say. So often we keep talking about ethics to be followed by others. We keep trying to educate the people, in particularly the young researcher, the necessity to understand the requirement of ethical research and also in scientific writing. But ethics is not a one which is only for a bench skill researcher. Ethics at workplace is common for everyone, and it has a top to bottom approach. It has a 360-degree evaluation. That means when we work in an organization, the head of organization, his or her conduct has also binding to follow certain ethics which are there at the workplace. And so are all people needed in that organization. The code of ethics varies. It varies from person to person depending upon the nature of work. But ethics at workplace is the primary thing which needs to be followed by everyone at a workplace. So this point has to be very clearly understood by everyone. And of course, no one is there to give a lecture that you have to follow this ethic unless somebody has a hierarchical senior position. No? But then if you want to make a place, a good place where the ethics are considered as part of daily routine by everyone, it is necessary that a top to bottom approach is obtained, is applied, and 360-degree, what you call evaluation, is in place in that organization. Somehow or other, it does not happen. But then we all understand that there is nothing like an ideal workplace. We keep dreaming about ideal workplace. We keep talking about ideal workplace, but in reality, it's not very easy to find a place which can be simply defined by all the employees which work in that organization that it is an ideal workplace. And then, because it has a direct linkages with the behavioral aspect, and behavioral aspect have direct implication for the ethics to being followed by the people. So I will not go into detail about ethics at workplace, but then at first point, this is the one which is to be followed by everyone. And then there are a code of conduct, and then there are many other things which one need to follow in order to comply the ethics in research, and thereafter ethics in scientific writing or publication, etc. Maybe some of the other speakers would throw some light on this additional aspect, but I will limit specifically on research and much more on scientific writing part. So even if Firoz has briefly told all of you that I come from the CSR family, I have been working in the northwest part of the country. The city is called Thiruvananthapuram. The institute you see, National Institute for Interdisciplinary Science and Technology, where I spent 3 decades of my research and technological career working in broadly industrial and environmental aspects, and then brought into concept the energy biosciences and so on. And to the best of my ability as the head of group, head of division, and head of Center for Biofuel, I ensure that we provide a very ethical conduct for everyone at workplace to begin with, because this is what I keep educating to everyone, and this is what I have very strongly followed in my entire career of 44 years so far. Since the last 4 years, I am working in this institute, Indian Institute of Toxicology Research, which is in Lucknow. And we have a Center for Innovation and Translational Research, which is essentially devoted on developmental research, not to do the basic research, but try to see that whatever work has been carried out in laboratories, that could be developed further for scale up or for application together with industries. We also offer several other consultancy modules to industries, but I'm not going to talk about those things because that would be out of context of this symposium or workshop. So ethics, research ethics and scientific misconduct or scientific conduct, they are the one very broadly, being discussed these days all over the world, and much more is happening in some countries. There have been a lot of reports, lot of breaches which have been brought out by international agencies. There are a lot of watchdogs today who keep looking at the conduct of scientists, conduct of researchers, and specifically through research publications. And this is a one which is a very serious concern globally, and so is for, of course, for our country. And a few details I'll share with you in this regard, and keep telling that what are the research ethics and what we need to follow all together when you go for scientific and industrial research. When I say scientific and industrial research, it does not mean that it is limited only to experimental research in the laboratories. The social scientists, the ecological people, all these are bound to follow the same ethics in research and same ethics in their conduct when any kind of research is taken. And this equally applies even to marketing people who conduct various kind of surveys, for example. And then so the ethics and their standard remain the common. And as I had said a few minutes before, depending upon the nature of work and the portfolio one is engaged in, there may be different aspect of research to be, different aspect of ethics to be followed. So, broadly in scientific discipline, there are 10 ethical principles which are discussed, which are shared, which are, to be, studied. Even in fact, ethics in workplace, ethics in research, ethics in publication, these are also very interesting research topic. No, it is not that everything has been done. A lot of people keep doing various kind of studies related to ethical conduct of humans involved in different domains of social sciences, natural sciences, all other kind of sciences, etc. So, when I say principle, 10 important principle that duty to society, this is the primary thing. That we are bound to have our conscious mind very clear that we work for the society, and society implies the self, the employer, and the people all around. Right? Then beneficence, then conflict of interest, informed consent, integrity, this is very, very important. Then non-discrimination, again, very, very important. Non-exploitation, again, very relevant. When I say very important, very relevant, then specifically these are concerned with a researcher who, for example, like most of you working in the laboratories like me and so on. So conflict of interest at workplace, conflict of interest when you sit anywhere in one of the committees, for example, this has become one of the very, very important element today. For example, Government of India, Department of Science and Technology, different ministries, their Department of Biotechnology. Now it is mandatory that an expert then sits, has to give a declaration that does not have a conflict of interest. And this conflict of interest details are very clearly defined now. In olden time, a time of even a couple of years before or little before, blood relatives were considered in an organization or in any business transaction as having conflict of interest. But now this is very broadly and very widely defined in clear terms. And what constitutes a conflict of interest? So this is an important aspect in scientific research. One has to keep into mind that how we take care of this point. In fact, in research paper, scientific writing, it is mandatory now to give a declaration about the conflict of interest. For example, I am editor of Bioresource Technology, and if I submit one of my manuscript to this journal, I have to give a declaration, and the handling editor also has to give a declaration that Ashok Pandey, who is author in this manuscript, is editor of this journal. However, this manuscript was processed by the name of other editor, and Dr. Pandey was completely blinded to this manuscript processing. This kind of conflict of interest are mandatory now everywhere, and this is even whether it is a scientific publication, whether it is a selection of any faculty or whatever it could be. This kind of declarations are very important, and we have to keep in mind. I'll keep perhaps saying this point time and again that ignorance of law is not an excuse into anywhere in international laws or according to Indian laws. We cannot say that, oh, I was not aware of this, I'm sorry. It does not make any excuse. And today, in our university system and research institute, there are very severe punishment clauses on violation of ethical principle in research and publication. And the point which is very important to be noted by everyone, that it is not that we did some misconduct today and nobody came to know, and so we are happy about that. Even if 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, 20 years down the line, if this is revealed, it becomes public, then the action can be taken. And we know today that in our country itself, there have been serious action taken last year or in 2020, 2021, 2020, 2019 for misconduct in publication which took place in 2004 or 2009 or 2012. This kind of things are there. And obviously, different kind of disciplinary actions are there, including termination of the job. And this also has happened or is happening in our own country. So this is a very important thing to keep into mind in ethical conduct at workplace. Thereafter, we have informed consent that if we want to take any help or any material from some source, we need to disclose why it is being taken and what purpose it has. Integrity, I don't have to explain much. All of you know it. Non-discrimination. This also is important. For example, when you do the research and we file a patent, we file a publication, in particular for publication, non-discrimination is that all the people who contributed equally should be given equal credit, and those who have given credit but in lesser order, that order should be established in authorship. That is called non-exploitation. Privacy and confidentiality, this is important again from research point of view. In an industry, for example, or even your own, even in a public university, there could be some requirement where some data could have confidential nature that must not be made public even to a family member. Professional competence, again, it must be very clear, and professional discipline. This is one which is very grossly missing in many organizations across the world, and much more so in our own country. So we need to have this inculcated in our behavior, not to be taught as a rule to an individual. So all these things, it is important that we understand that we have to adopt in our day-to-day activity as our professional behavior, personal attitude, not only that it is a need to follow as a rule. The ethical principle applies to scientific inquiry, the conduct and behaviors of researcher, and the ethical treatment of research participants. Only one ethical principle, duty to society, I told at the beginning itself, applies to scientific inquiry by asking whether the research benefits society. And this is a question, again, now today in the political circle, the government is very serious about it and very critically would want to evaluate the work being done by scientists, whether they have any implication, any benefit for the society. In particular, the research which is conducted using public fund. So these are the important points we need to understand, that even if there could be variation from country to country, region to region, organization to organization about the ethical conduct and consequences of misconduct, the bottom line remains that it is very important to follow this everywhere in our own country or anywhere in other country. So in terms of, I said that there are a lot of research being carried out by social scientists or other even engineers or scientists on various aspects of research. And these are the general questions which one has to keep into mind if we go for conducting such a study on scientific conduct involving this ethics. In fact, the purpose of my giving this slide is, in one way, is for the mentors, for the managers, science managers and mentors, if they could adopt a similar kind of principle in their own organization, in their own units. So, in terms of scientific writing, that ethics in publication, so it starts at ethical conduct at workplace. Again, to sum up, by everyone who is there at workplace. It is not only the bench scale researcher, but everyone. There is in terms of publication, we say the ethical conduct by authors, we say ethical conduct by reviewers, we say ethical conduct by editors. Everyone in the chain has a guideline as ethical conduct followed. So when an entire chain has ethical conduct, this obviously has to be followed at workplace also. So this ethical conduct by authors, ethical conduct by publisher, and ethical conduct by editors, these have become mandatory to be published. What are the ethical policy of the journal by all the publishers? Every journal individually has to now make public this kind of information. So this is having a very critical element in terms of practice by every stakeholder. So a few points were mentioned that how do we define. I'll elaborate this quite a lot a little bit later in the slide, because the conduct that plagiarism, for example, or acknowledgement, or any matter which we give the mention of source, all that have become very important. For example, the lecture which I am giving now, if you copy and use it for your own purpose, it is a plagiarism, kind of plagiarism. And of course, it is a ethical misconduct. Nobody anywhere in the world can use it for own purpose, own presentation, even by giving a reference. Such uses need permission as well. So that's the legal position. In terms of publication, that to begin with, that I assume that the research has been carried out very well, and a few points to remember here would be that what are the standard operating practices, SOP, is there in a research laboratory. It starts with for a researcher, do we have a raw data record book? That's a mandatory. And on all of those who are attending this seminar, please ask this question to yourself and to your colleague. This should be done by the science manager. Creating a raw data record book, this should be provided by the organization to every bench worker. And this book is to be verified at least once in a month by the next superior, what we call in our country or elsewhere perhaps, the reporting officer. For a research scholar, it should be the supervisor. That raw data entry must be verified once in a month and then countersigned. That book should be countersigned by the supervisor, whosoever it could be. And then there will be less chance of a misconduct on data malpractice or other way. The second point is that this raw data should remain with the organization, not that when a researcher leaves the organization, he or she carries his or her these raw data books. These are the property of organization and they must remain with the organization. Because as I mentioned, that today, some of you might be knowing that there is a website called PubPeer. PubPeer site has become very, very popular these days and is being followed by large number of organizations and people. PubPeer, what it does, that it takes, in particular on biological and life sciences, the papers which have been published across the world by different publishers, So they take the images and figures published in those papers, and then they have a very advanced system of analysis which matches these figures and photographs and XRD data, SEM, TEM, FTIR, whatever, anything you think of, simple line graphs, pie chart, everything. It gets automatically analyzed on the software developed by them, and it will show that if it is an original one or has been taken from somewhere, even if it is a manipulated. For example, there are a large number of cases that a figure has been taken and then turned on 90 degree to show that as if it is a new SEM figure or new TM figure or something like that. And some manipulation have been done, for example, on XRD figure and so on. But this software, what is being used by PubPeer, detects all this very easily. So in the beginning of 2019 and 29 whole year, large number of premier organizations in our country have appeared in that list, including the top organization like which we claim as number one in our country, and many of the premier other CSR institutes, ICR institutes, central universities, and the named and famed big universities in our country, who we consider as the prime institution in our country. Now, when we start looking at that, what went wrong and where, a large number of committees have been made, external committees, internal committees, then we find that there is a, for example, figure quoted in a paper in 2010. And 2010, this was done by a PhD scholar, and there is no whereabouts of this scholar. No one has any information. Now, what to do? As I mentioned in the beginning, that this is not an excuse for law, that the person is not there, because it is institutional responsibility to save and keep raw data. And when this data is not available, it is assumed that institution is trying to manipulate. So importance of raw data and its management is very critical, and all those science manager, all those you at Rajiv Gandhi University, as a host, you must take this into account and take action for its preservation and its regular inspection. Remember, the bottom line is this, that we do not disbelieve anyone. We cannot disbelieve our colleagues. We cannot disbelieve our students. But we don't have to have blind belief. There are certain norms in official working, and one of the norms is that one must check the workbook of the bench worker and ensure that those data are properly recorded there. And when you prepare a manuscript, when you prepare a patent application, whatever it could be, it is important that we do inspection of those data and ensure that they resemble very well. So this is where we have missed, and this is where I've missed. To blame, whatever it could be, finally, it is the organization which will get bad name, and of course, some people who will be very badly impacted. And as I've said that there are examples in our country where people have been terminated. Severe action has been taken by the organizations, and much more is being done now regarding the rigidness of rule in recent time. So now onwards, I'll spend some time on publication specifically, that how research publication, what is plagiarism, etc. We have seen many times that people, in order to get the work quickly published, what is important that we do work for 6 months, 3 months or 6 months, sometime a year, sometime even longer. But once we write a manuscript, we become really in real hurry to submit it to some journal and get it published. Because that time, why patients run out, I still do not know this one. But then, as a researcher, it is important to understand that if you submit it more than one journal, there is a violation of ethical conduct by author, submitting author, and all the authors, because it is assumed that there is a written statement that when the submitting author has to give, the lead author has to give to the journal in covering letter that all the authors have seen it and have agreed for its submission to this specific journal. So submitting it to more than one journal is unethical, and there have been cases 10 years before, quite a few. Still, sometime we come across that the same paper has been published in more than one journal. Now, this also is very serious violation, and in fact, I know the cases. We know the cases where certain organizations have been blacklisted because of one's misconduct. The whole organization has been blacklisted by the publisher, by the journal. So never attempt to do this kind of things, because this kind of papers are easily detected. There are so much automated tools in terms of, in particular, on plagiarism check and similarity check, that it is very easy to find them out. So we should not submit it to more than one journal unless you make a final decision, and for some reason, if the journal is taking too long time and if you are not happy, you should withdraw it and thereafter only submit it to some other journal. So this first point, when a manuscript is ready, we have to keep into mind. It is important that we must discuss. Very sad, get depressed. What do you expect? What you always expect to get? It is not necessary that every day you get doing whatever in some novel. In fact, negative results sometimes are much more powerful and much more important and much easier to publish than the positive result, what a researcher was expecting. Provided we are able to give the analysis, we can give our own argument, we can give our own hypothesis why this has happened so. We should be confident of our data, and trust me, to publish such data would be far more easy. Publication have become so difficult to follow in to publish in a high standard journal, but then this has a very negative impact, because today we have more than 250 journals have mushroomed all around the world, and which have their registered office often shown somewhere in the US, but then these are primarily published in terms of Indian rupees. For example, you pay 500 rupees and overnight you get published. And when the fifth volume came, the same amount became maybe 2,000 rupees, and 10th volume it became 4,000. Colleagues are asked to pay the money, and the senior author would not want to take the responsibility. At times, the younger colleague, the PhD scholars, they are not aware of this kind of things. But then, as I say, that once those who come for the research, they all are having master's degree. That means they have a highest level of education already in their career. That is very clear. So if you say that I was, what is ABC of research, and what is publication, what is publication cycle, and what are the ethics, etc. So for Rajiv Gandhi University, I would say that this kind of information should also be included into your curriculum. And also those who are other participants, if they see a good reason into this, they should also consider this. Another very negative thing which has happened again in many universities in our country, and I know it is also happening or has happened in many other countries, that UGC has made publication of 2 referred journals into before one can submit a thesis. And this is a very weak point. We were short of saying that SCI journal. Now these journals, where you end up, negative publicity and so on. So this point must be taken by any researchers anywhere in the world to do not get tempted to publish in redundant publication. This is the class book information as a definition of plagiarism. I am not going to that because now I am nearing to complete my time. So what is plagiarism? As I have to you, words, ideas, findings, writing, graphical representation, computer program, diagrams, graph, illustration, printed, electronic material, and I think some, I do not know why some points are not shown, which includes, as I have said to you, for example, my lecture. So anything, anywhere you take, that other person's ideas, processes, results, or words without giving appropriate credit, including those obtained through confidential review of others. So who should be listed as author? This is another I am seeing all around the world and so in our country. In most of the journal, at least in Q1 journal, it is necessary that we give a declaration about author's credit, that who did what. And many a time I see that this has not been properly. This is taken very lightly by authors. It is a responsibility of primarily the corresponding author, the lead author, whatever we call. And always remember the first author should be the who conducts the data, laboratory work, main analysis, etc. I do not consider it appropriate that the supervisor put his or her name as the first. Certain places it is still happening in the list of authors. Then there could be a team of 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and everybody should be listed in order based on their contribution. The two terms, host authorship, leaving out of author who should be included. This also is happening in some organization. For example, I am the supervisor or I am the head of department or division or director of institute, and I do not like X person. And then use my when they, I say that significant is not a proper word used here. I should have written at all or minor. They should go into acknowledgement. So this point also must be taken into account very seriously when we decide the authorship and when you write a credit of authors at the end when you write a manuscript. So publishing ethics that never be tempted. This is very important point because potential consequences are severe, and please keep in mind that time is gone when we used to think that nobody will come to know. If not today, tomorrow, or even after a few time, people will definitely come to know whatever misconduct has been carried out in data falsification, in manipulation of figures, tables, or in misinterpretation of result. Even if you have done it unintentionally, that there somebody may question a year later or down the line 5 or 10 years later, and then such papers will be retracted, bringing shame not only to authors but also to the organization and also to the country. So with this, I conclude this presentation, and I'm not sure that if all of you want, I'll answer your comments, questions, or anything. Somebody has
Unmute themselves
Okay.
and they can ask, or they can write in the chat box also.
Yeah, whatever.